Hey everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today we are going to be starting a little bit of a series on my top 10 picks for the games of the last decade. So that would be from 2010 to 2020. And today we start off things on a very high note. This list doesn't have any particular order, and this could even be the best game of the last decade for all I know. It's a beautiful game played by a Chinese prodigy of name Wei Yi against, I don't know, several times Cuban champion, among other feats, Lazaro Bruzan Batista, rated 2669 at the time, so easily top 100 in the world, and Wei Yi 2724, easily top 40, I'd say, probably even top 30. Alright, so this game starts with e4, like every good, well, like every beautiful game. c5 out of 3, e6, knight c3. So Wei is not defining the structure yet. He could go for an open Sicilian or a closed Sicilian. a6 is played, a flexible move. Bishop e2, knight c6, and he finally decides, okay, I'm going to go d4. We have cd, knight d4, and queen c7. And so now by transposition, we've reached an extremely popular, extremely common position that can come from a Khan defense, also from a Taimano defense. White goes ahead and castles, knight f6, bishop e3, normal developing moves by both sides. Bishop e7 is played here. Also possible is bishop b4. Bishop e7, we have f4, threatening e5, so black plays d6 to prevent that. And now a lot of moves are possible. I quite like the move he played, Wei, that is, he plays king h1, just stepping out of this diagonal. This is always a good thing to keep in mind in the Sicilians. When you long castle, you want to get your king to b1 to get out of this diagonal. When you short castle, you want to get your king to h1 to get out of this diagonal. It's always a weakened diagonal. There's always problems in tactics there, so just, step your king aside and give it some comfort. Castles and queen e1, a very typical move, This whole game is full of patterns and ideas that are just so typical, so well executed. And in this case, so the queen wants to slide over to g3 or h4 in order to attack the king, which is white's whole idea. In this sort of position, black goes ahead and trades on d4 and goes b5. And okay, he's looking for some counterplay of his own. So queen g3 is played here. Also possible is the more tame a3, just preventing b4. But queen g3 is very interesting, very aggressive. We have bishop b7 and only now a3. And rook a to d8. Also very popular is bishop c6, with the idea of going queen b7 and putting pressure on e4. But okay, rook a d8, looking to maybe break in the center. Rook a to b1, and rook d7. So this position, believe it or not, still has quite a high number of games played, around 200. But I already much prefer white's position. I really like the simplicity of white's position. He has the bishop pair. Okay, black also has a bishop pair. But, okay, white wants to attack the king, which is generally good if there's nothing else to do. His pieces are well placed. The rooks are going to be on open files or semi-open files. There's break potential. The queen is well placed. This bishop is well placed. This bishop will come to d3, as it just did right now. And this knight is not so great, but it can always hop to e4. So it's taking part in the game, and the king is safe. So I virtually don't see any problem with white's position. While black is definitely very cramped, there's no piece that's going beyond the third rank. The king, it might look pretty, but it's not that safe after a break like e5 and these bishops opening up. It's not really that safe. And by the way, this last move, rook d7, is designed to go perhaps rook c8. But black's play just seems very slow. Bishop d3 is played, and now queen d8, which believe it or not is still a move that's been seen. The idea is to overprotect the knight on f6 in order to just ease the defense a little bit. Also possible is rook e8, and maybe looking for some break with e5 in the future. Queen d8 is played here, and we have queen h3. So now white is very clearly threatening either to trade and go e5 or to go e5 immediately, just netting him a piece. So black has to do something about it, and he goes g6. So now this this diagonal is masked, and after f5, well, I was gonna say after something like e5, black can go knight h5. That's also an advantage of having put the pawn on g6. But you have f5 here. So Wei really wants to break everything, and you don't really want it to make this trade happen as black, because now you're giving white even more freedom. So instead, black goes e5, which is correct. We have bishop e3, and at least this bishop is not opened up. On the counterpart, this move e5 always has to be weighed in very well because you're giving away the d5 square, which is going to be crucial, as we're going to see. Now, black went rook e8 in the game. Also possible is knight h5, but again, I just don't feel like this is such a pleasant position for black at all. In the game, we had rook e8, and now f takes g6, h takes g6, and knight d5. And white just has a clear advantage, but this has to be proven through a lot of calculation. As we're gonna see in the game, this is basically where the fun starts. So black has two ways of recapturing this. One is bishop d5, which I guess is the correct way to recapture after e takes d5. White has somewhere between slight and clear advantage. I feel like it's more leaning, it's leaning more towards the clear advantage because, well, these bishops are just monsters, and again, every white piece is just doing so much. There's pressure, there's attack. Yeah, it's a very hard position for black. Black played the natural knight takes d5, which has a non-deserving question mark, to put it that way, because it's really hard to see white's sequence now. So I invite you to pause the video and try to find the sequence on your own. It's a very long and beautiful sequence. But I'm gonna save you some trouble right away. I mean, unless you are a 27, 24 player, you're really just not gonna find this. This is just brilliant and insanely hard to calculate. The move played in the game is not e takes d5, because after bishop takes d5, black is just a clear pawn up, and there's nothing going on, but the move is rook takes f7. So you've sacrificed a knight, now you're sacrificing a rook, and the point is that you're just ripping open the defense of black's position, and for one brief moment, you see this bishop is not an f8, so there's no connection like from these two pieces to the king's side, and this rook is also not doing that much. So this is all about timing. Wei finds a brief window of opportunity he can cash in, and he just goes straight for it. So rook takes f7, king takes. The point of this is to go queen e7 check, dragging the king even further, and now e takes d5. And here all these branches and ramifications start. Straight off the bat, there's two ways to recapture. Bishop takes or king takes. If bishop takes d5, we would have bishop takes g6, threatening mate on f7. And then black would have to play bishop takes g2 in order to go d5 and give the king some luft. But just bishop f7, king d6, queen h6, and bishop f6, for example, because if king c7, there's queen b6. So bishop f6, and you just take the rook, and after just check king f1, and this bishop is hanging next. White is just up a ton of material and still has a deadly attack. So bishop takes d5, no good. King takes was played in the game, And now we have another beautiful move. Now it's a little bit easier to calculate. So maybe some of you could find, well, I still don't think we really had that level. The move played was bishop e4 check, just another beautiful, stunning move. In the game, this bishop was taken, as is logical. The king goes back again, just queen takes g6, bishop f6, bishop f5, king e7, queen h7, and this is just going to lead to a huge, just a completely winning position for white. So instead, king takes was played. Queen f7 now is just another very hard move to see. It's one of those quiet moves, you know. In attacks, I feel like really the hardest moves to find in the midst of so much chaos are really these quiet moves. The point of this is first to threaten mate, and second to bring the queen over to b3. So bishop f6 was played to prevent the mate. And now, okay, just repetition of moves. Bishop d6, king d4, bishop e3, king e4, and now queen b3. Threatening mate on d3, so king f5 had to be played. And now rook f1 check, king g4, queen d3, threatening to hunt the king via e2 or g6. Bishop takes e2 had to be played desperately in order to go queen a8 check and at least have a queen protecting some squares. Bishop g5 was played now, but we just finished off the game on a beautiful note with queen e2 check, king h4, bishop f2 check, king h3, and now black resigned in 2 moves, so feel free to try to find the move here. Now it's not that complicated, but still just very, very aesthetic. The move is bishop e1. just a beautiful move, you know. How can you just sacrifice so many pieces and in the end just have such a simple, I mean not simple, but such a quiet move to finish off things. And after queen a7, king h1, black resigned, and this game went down in history, even though it's not really talked about much these days, but in the time I remember it was quite a sensation. There's just going to be rook f3 or queen g2 or queen f3. It's just completely winning. It's just going to be mate on the next couple moves. And yeah, I feel like this game definitely deserves a spot on this list. If not, you know, the best game of the last decade. I really hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you soon with more videos on this topic. For now, that's all. Peace out, and have a good one.